Well, hello again, everyone. We welcome you to another bill training in our 2023 Mom Congress Mom's Agenda virtual bill training series. We are excited to be training on a bill that many advocates were passionate about last year, the Shine for Autumn Act. It has been reintroduced, and we are excited to have Debbie Hain with us here today. I'll have you give an introduction in a moment here, Debbie. Have a few more people coming in from the waiting room as well. And if you are watching this recording, thank you for being here with us too. Those of you that are joining us live, continue to send your messages in chat, and we will have time for questions and answers as usual. So a little housekeeping first. You can go to the next slide, Ebony, and I will be dropping some links in the chat here for you as well. If you just want to refresh one more time, Ebony, I've got last year's version to share too. So as per usual, we want to check in and see if your legislator is already signed onto this bill. This is something we've been doing for each bill. The only thing that will be different this time is that you're going to be checking both the versions for this year as well as the version from last year. Deb's going to speak more specifically to what the difference in the two bills are. But for the most part, we want you to be just educated on where your legislator stands. And we're also going to talk a bit more about the vote that this bill went through last year. So links coming in chat to you now to check and see if your House of Representatives member is on HR 5012. Welcome in. Hi, Alice. We're so glad that you're here. And then also the Senate version, which is 2647. And then I will go ahead and drop in last year's bill numbers as well.
I just want to quickly just note that Senator Booker wasn't in the office, hasn't been in the office the past couple of days. And so they can't add new co-sponsors until he's literally in the building. So, so that's why you only see, you see three.
That's the inside baseball, right? That's always what we're like. But they said they would sign on. Oh, well, they're going to put them all on at the same time, or they're waiting till they're in the office. Or so thanks for that. Okay, so in the chat you have last year's version of the House bill, which was 5487. And then I will also give you the Senate version from last year, which is 3972. And after you've taken a moment to see where your legislator stands, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Debbie to make an introduction and to educate us about the Shine for Autumn Act. Debbie, thank you again for being here. Did we lose you?
Nope, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay,
it was something froze. I'm all good. I'm here. First and foremost, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Crystal, Ebony, and the Mom Congress team for believing in this bill and wanting to champion it. It means everything to me. I just want to add before I forget, because my brain is a sieve completely. When you also are looking up the bill, HR 5487 from last year, I do suggest that you look to see if your member voted in support of that. When you see the bill, you'll see on congress.gov, it will say roll call. You can click on the roll call, and you can see the yays and you can see the nays. So I always find that super helpful. So I know who I'm dealing with. So anyhow, get started. My name's Deb Hain Vijavirgia, for those of you who don't know me. I am a stillbirth parent advocate, and it was my daughter Autumn who served as inspiration for the Stillbirth Health Improvement and Education Shine for Autumn Act. Just some brief history on how the bill came to be. on July 7th, 2011, my life irrevocably changed. When I was at my OB's for a second trimester checkup, and she could not detect Autumn's heartbeat. And life as I knew it changed forever for me. I never knew what a stillbirth was. I never knew that I was at risk of something this horrific happening. And it basically derailed my life. I always considered myself to be a relatively educated and worldly person, and I never heard of stillbirth. And so my doctors did me a huge disservice by leading me to believe that losing her was as rare as being struck by lightning. I had soon learned after that that in 2011, 25,000 babies were stillborn, and just didn't feel that rare to me. And so I figured, hell, if I didn't know what a stillbirth was, and if my doctors didn't know what a stillbirth was, then maybe no one knows what a stillbirth was. And I spent a lot of time. I found myself, I was consumed. I needed to understand what had happened. I needed to understand if I was at risk of losing another baby. I needed to understand if my daughter, who was 3.5 years old at the time, was at risk one day of suffering this unimaginable tragedy. And so I threw myself into this work, closed the doors of a very successful recruiting business, and have been advocating every day ever since. So fast forward, in 2016, the Lancet Medical Journal had published an entire series on ending preventable stillbirth. And myself and the entire stillbirth community was like, this is the moment. This is when stillbirth is going to receive the long-awaited attention that it has deserved for a very long time. And it fell flat. It did not do what we had hoped that it would do, especially considering the fact that it highlighted that the United States of America was lagging seriously behind all these other high-income countries. In the US, our data collection is awful. It's inconsistent. It's not timely, nor is it accurate. The awareness and education, I mean, no one is talking about stillbirth, and I think many people seem to think that if we don't talk about it, then it's not real. But the fact is that it continues to happen each and every day. And another hindrance to us in this country is the fact that we don't have many trained perinatal pathologists. Serious workforce shortage. Without trained pathologists, we are limited in the information that we can understand as to why babies are dying, and to help guide us in prevention strategies. And so we kind of knew what we needed to see happen. And myself and a group of advocates were fortunate enough to have a conversation with different heads of federal agencies to discuss the state of stillbirth in this country. We knew what we wanted to talk to them about. We wanted to talk to the series. We wanted to talk about the gaps and, everything I just mentioned. And what are we doing? And the conversation was eye-opening. It really was. Everyone on that call agreed that we have a legitimate problem on our hands, and everyone on that call recognized that what all these other high-income countries were doing was working as far as awareness and education and working collectively together. And it was the moment that my heart broke for the second time when I learned that we could not access or use any of the data that's collected outside of this country because we are the United States of America, and that sadly we did not have the resources to do the work. So for anyone who knows me, I don't like being told no. And the mom in me felt compelled to try to fix this problem. I mean, that's how I found myself on this advocacy path already. I wanted to do whatever I could to protect other people from ever suffering this incomprehensible tragedy. And so if money's what they needed, then I was convinced that I was going to go get it for them. I was compelled. And so I did. And I've been working on federal policy to do just that since 2016, since that meeting. And it's been a great honor a lot of work has gone into this bill. And you know, I'm excited to see where we can go with it in the 118th. You know, the Shine for Autumn Act would, you know, our goal is to really end preventable stillbirth. And the only way to do that is through enhanced data collection, research, awareness, education, research, reporting. Sorry, totally didn't mean to like hop over. You can go to the one pager.
Oh, you're great. We got the one pager. I think we're in there and updated. I'll put it in the chat too. So you're
Okay,
good. Thank
cool.
you so much.
Sorry.
Oh, you're great.
And so, you know, and because without progress in those areas, we're very limited in what we can do to protect families and ensure that more families are bringing their babies home. So the Shine for Autumn Act was introduced in the 117th Congress on October 5th, 2021. And it was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life, because in 2 months' time, on December 8th, 2021, the bill passed the House of Representatives, like under suspension with like overwhelming bipartisan support. And I did not mention that, but yes, this is a bipartisan issue and therefore a bipartisan bill. It passed 408 to 18. And it was the first time that I actually felt really heard. I've been knocking on doors and for 12 years since Autumn died. And the fact that I could sit there, because I was home, I was watching it live stream, and to see members of Congress stand up and say the word stillbirth and say why it is that we need to be addressing this issue and get behind it and urge their colleagues to pass this vital bill was everything to me. It was such a hard 12 years to get anyone to listen. So it was amazing and it was encouraging. And so the bill was then introduced into the Senate. The bill was introduced into the House last Congress by Reps Herrera, Butler, and Roybal Allard, Castor, and Mullen. Roybal Allard and Herrera Butler are not currently members of the 118th Congress. Rep Mullen is now a senator, and Rep Castor is still in the House of Representatives. The bill, sorry, I backtracked. The bill was introduced into the Senate by Senators Booker and Rubio, and we made some really amazing progress, as many of you know, as you're a big part of it all. Thank you again. And, you know, there are just a lot of competing priorities. What can I say? I was in DC on December 19th working my tail off trying to see that Shine was included in the Omni, and it was a very lean healthcare package, so we just couldn't happen. But I will say that I was strongly encouraged to come back, and as I remember, it has stuck with me. One of Pelosi staffers, when I said, I'm so disappointed that we have to come back and start from scratch. And he's like, you are not starting from scratch. You've built one of the strongest foundations behind a bill that I've ever seen. So you got to come back. And I was like, okay, we'll come back. Sure. If you say that, we'll be there. So, so we're here. We're here. Bill was introduced into bipartisan and bicameral July 27th, right before everyone left for August recess. And as you can see here, it was Reps Kim and Castor, who is an original. Rep Kim and Rep Kelly, just so you know, also are the co-chairs of the Maternity Care Caucus, the same way that Reps Herrera, Butler, and Roybal Allard were. I'm thrilled to have Rep Joyce as well have signed on, and Senator Booker and Senator Rubio are leading the bill in the Senate. So there's that. What else? So the the problem. So the first problem is, as I said before, the data in this country is appalling. Suffers from poor quality. Not all stillbirths are recorded, or the requested information is provided, or the information that's provided is not always correct. And, you know, that seriously hinders our public health efforts to address this issue, and it undermines stillbirth research. So we decided that with Shine, you know, we would be able to try to fix that problem by authorizing funding to provide grants to states to support stillbirth data and collection and reporting. Why is this so important? Well, it's important because with better data, we're going to have better outcomes. It's that simple. And, you know, we can't make progress in reducing stillbirth rates if we don't have a clear picture as to why babies are dying. So that's why this piece of the bill is so important. Then we go to the fetal autopsy training component. So, you know, there is a serious shortage of trained pathologists in this country. And without someone who knows what it is that they're supposed to be looking for to help understand why a baby has died, we're at a loss. We're blind as you know, as far as like how to move forward. So I was told years ago that there's no money in dead babies, and that is why pathologists don't tend to get trained in perinatal pathology. And that, I'll be honest, that kind of sucked. That was really disappointing to hear. And so I actually teamed up with one of the few trained perinatal pathologists in this country who actually lived in New Jersey, and we created this Grand Rounds program. And, you know, she would go to different path departments in the state, and, you know, our vision was like, pay it forward. You know, you learn about, you know, maybe the top 3 or top 5 things to look for, because all we need is consistency. We have to start, you know, got to lower the bar. Find 3 to 5 things. And if everyone's collecting those same 3 to 5 things, then we're in a good place. And we did that for a while, and we received so many requests for her to come and host Grand Rounds. And then COVID happened and it kind of fell flat. But what it did do is reinforce how important a piece this is to the puzzle. So and then so what Shine would do is authorize funding for a fellowship, so that, you know, since there's no money in dead babies, let us bring you on in. Come on in and learn about how to be trained as a perinatal pathologist. And my hope, again, is that those providers will pay it forward. They will share their knowledge with their colleagues at the hospital and at the universities. And then the awareness and education piece. I mean, what can I say? The first time someone hears about stillbirth should not be when it has happened to them. You know, and that's a big one for me, because I could not find any information. No one was talking about stillbirth. No one was talking about you know, I lacked serious support as far as bereavement as well, back in 2011. And so, you know, and another piece that you know, years ago when I was talking to an OB about why it is that they don't talk about stillbirth, and he said to me, well, we don't want to go and freak anybody out, right? And I was like, well, no, I understand you don't want to freak anybody out, but freak out expectant parents, sorry. But like, what about the fact that, you know, we all know what SIDS is before we even have a baby. And once you have your baby and you're holding them in your arms at the hospital, a pediatrician comes in and talks to you about the risks and reality of SIDS. And you never hear about parents that are pulling all-nighters, standing over their baby's cribs, making sure that they're okay, because information is power. We learn to not put bumpers and pillows and blankets and all these things that are, you know, potentially harmful in the crib. And so I stand behind the fact that we need more awareness and education. And so what Shine would do is authorize funding to the Department of, to HHS, basically, sorry. And that money would go to state and local departments of health to help to create, you know, expand on education and awareness materials And in addition to, bolstering data collection and data sharing information as well. And because, everyone deserves the opportunity to bring their baby home in their arms. I'm trying to think what else it was that I was supposed to be talking about.
I just got a quick question, Deb, actually, so
Sure.
if you don't
Okay.
mind.
I'm like, I know that I have some, oh, okay. I know it.
You're good. All this information is written in here for visual. I think that the question that was just put to me, which was one that we talked about, was, can you tell us
What's
any
changed?
changes from last year to this year? So if somebody
Yep.
says, hey, you were a yes vote on this last year, and the only thing that's different is, or there, however you'd like to frame it for us to get everybody back on board.
It's very simple. Not much. The only thing that has changed that would be meaningful to anyone asking that question is that this version of the bill, we are not incorporating, we're not establishing a new perinatal pathology fellowship. We will be incorporating it into an existing program. So we're not doing anything new, because apparently new things cost more money and more of a headache. So all that matters is that we're incorporating the fellowship into an existing program and not establishing a new one. That's really the only substantive thing that has changed. I will add that we've also included some language around data privacy laws. So if that means anything, but you kind of have to know who it is that you're talking to about that one. So I think it's just safe to say for all parties involved that it's just the fellowship.
Okay, fantastic. And then did anyone have another question was about financial concerns? I know you're saying that they're going to go into established programs now. What have you been hearing as far as anyone being concerned about any amount of money associated with the bill? Have you gotten any feedback on that?
No, I mean, I think what's also important for you to know, and you're more than welcome to share, is that this version of the bill incorporates feedback from both committees. So that's the Energy and Commerce, and that is the Health Committee. So this time around, we've involved everybody. The House and the Senate have been working on this together. It incorporates TA, technical assistance from HHS, and feedback from committees. So we're all working together. And, as far as dollars, like, we have to understand, we're working on trying to identify where it's going to come from.
Okay, fantastic. And then Heather came in with a great question. Does this bill have any connection to abortion? Because she will have a representative who is definitely going to ask that question.
Absolutely not. We're here to talk about stillbirth. We're here to talk about families who are expecting their very much loved and very much wanted baby and are faced with the tragic reality that their baby has died. And so this has nothing to do with abortion whatsoever. We have I avoid it. I'll be perfectly honest. I tend to avoid any sort of conversation. If someone asks me about abortion, and I will say, we're here to talk about very much wanted and very much loved babies that have died, very much planned for babies that have died. And God forbid, if you had someone that was really pushing and you really felt compelled that you needed to give them an answer, you can say that we've received TA from, pro-life groups as well. But I'll be perfectly honest, y'all, like, I don't talk about it. I don't engage, because stillbirth and abortion are two completely separate issues. I just want to add, we just want to see more babies going home in their parents' arms. That's what we want, and Shine will make sure that happens.
That's really great, Debbie. And I like how you just put it out there. You said this has absolutely nothing to do with that, two completely separate issues, and moving right along. So Heather, thank you for sharing that, because I anticipated that question would come in at some point. And Elizabeth has shared that she has to say she's been in a few meetings with some very conservative offices, and it hasn't been mentioned by staffers. So
I was going to say, I have to tell you, Rep. Harris did not vote in support of my bill of Shine last Congress. And then I had to actually have a meeting with he moved over to appropriations, and I had to have a meeting with his staffer because I was working on appropriations for the Stillbirth Task Force. And she was lovely. And so some of the the most daunting, like scary. I mean, trust me, if Rand Paul is your member, I'd avoid him at all costs. But like, it depends on the staffer. Obviously, we all know that, right? It's the staffer and their views, and if they want to, pass this along to their boss. But I've had some conversations with some very conservative offices, and no one has mentioned that, because everyone knows someone who's been pregnant and has, I mean, they're there because their mother was pregnant with them. We just want to see more babies going home in their parents' arms.
That's really wonderful, Debbie. And I have to say, everybody has been cheering you on in the chat and holding you and Autumn, and shout out to Jersey. And I just want to say you're such a great advocate and such an impactful storyteller. I know it is really meaningful to all of us to learn from you. So thank you for being here. Ebony's got the slide up here, and I will mention the Stillbirth Prevention Act bill sponsor photo. But what we'll do is we'll hop over to the other Zoom where we're going to learn about the Maternal Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act, and then we will talk more in depth about the opportunities that will be going on while we're in DC alongside you and Healthy Birthday.
Great, because just really quickly, I know you have to go. It's really important for y'all to know that this Congress is a different Congress, with both bills being introduced, the Stillbirth Prevention Act and SHINE. So to streamline our efforts for you and for all other advocates, we are going to be asking members to support both bills. They're both important. There was a slide which Crystal will share that talks about the difference between how to talk about both bills in the meeting. But just know that the calls to action that you will see in the next conversation with Jen regarding the Stillbirth Prevention Act are combined efforts. We have a combined petition, we have a combined OCP, and are working to make some exciting things happen for National Stillbirth Prevention Day. So thank you much for having me. I know I've already gone over, but just know that both SHINE and SPA are critically important, and it's very exciting to see two bills under consideration this Congress, and that we're going to do this. So thank you so much for having me.
So much, Deb. All right, I'll see you all on another Zoom in a minute. I put the link in chat if you want to join us over there. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you.